Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Cool TV presents Highly Debatable with Spencer Hutchinson as he and his panel break down the games from the previous week and preview the upcoming games in high school football. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Cool TV presents Highly Debatable with Spencer Hutchinson as he and his panel break down the games from the previous week and preview the upcoming games in high school football. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Cool TV presents Highly Debatable with Spencer Hutchinson as he and his panel break down the games from the previous week and preview the upcoming games in high school football. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Cool TV presents Highly Debatable with Spencer Hutchinson as he and his panel break down the games from the previous week and preview the upcoming games in high school football. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Cool TV presents Highly Debatable with Spencer Hutchinson as he and his panel break down the games from the previous week and preview the upcoming games in high school football. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Cool TV presents Highly Debatable with Spencer Hutchinson as he and his panel break down the games from the previous week and preview the upcoming games in high school football. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Cool TV presents Highly Debatable with Spencer Hutchinson as he and his panel break down the games from the previous week and preview the upcoming games in high school football. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Cool TV presents Highly Debatable with Spencer Hutchinson as he and his panel break down the games from the previous week and preview the upcoming games in high school football. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Cool TV presents Highly Debatable with Spencer Hutchinson as he and his panel break down the games from the previous week and preview the upcoming games in high school football. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson. Cool TV presents Highly Debatable with Spencer Hutchinson as he and his panel break down the games from the previous week and preview the upcoming games in high school football. Now here's your host of Highly Debatable, Spencer Hutchinson.
Alrighty, guys, we're back. We're getting closer to normal time. We're getting right.
That's what our fans want.
Of course, I haven't shown. We had one of our first shows with Merle, and he was getting ready to go down to Oxford, and I went back and watched that video, and he said, we're going to win that. Any worse than we did, but it just so glad that you could join us here tonight. So glad that you could join us here tonight. Sean, now I'm going to lay in about 40 or 50 points a game. Really close to 40, 42, somewhere in there.
Yeah, none of those games were close.
And I texted Mark after the games, and I said, man, you really know your stuff. Will you teach me how you pick? And he said, my strategy worked. I fired up all the teams I picked against. No, but it was a great week of football. Well, of course, I didn't get to watch. I watched a little bit of the Kentucky game on my phone. I was on top of Kentucky Christian University's press box, working camera down at KCU for their football game. They took on Warner, Florida. What a good team. Warner, Florida, pretty good. I watched a little bit of that. It seemed like, Sean, you watched the game. Jumped out 24-0. Looks really good there.
And then a false start and things, But the big thing, it's a road win in the SEC. It puts you at 4-0.
Technically it is, but there's probably way worse than a calf strain. You can tell the way he walks and the way that he's still hurt, man.
Well, they're not ranking very high because they
24th.
Okay, but look at the scoring. I mean, You can move all you want between 20s. I don't care how many times you move up and down. And to be honest, the Rams had a backup. It was not a guy the caliber of an Andrew Whitworth playing on left tackle.
But you want to watch some real football? Turn in.
Oh my gosh! He's going to talk about the Browns.
Best defense in the NFL. Best defense in the NFL.
Well, Myles Garrett is probably Myles Garrett's probably the best defensive football player in the NFL.
Well, not only that, but their secondary is good. Their linebackers come down. I mean, if Deshaun Watson don't turn the ball over 5 times at Pittsburgh, they're 3-0 and number 1 ranked defense. They give up less than 200 yards a game. Think about that.
I don't think
he's not the same guy.
I don't think we'll see the same Derrick Henry that we saw 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Well, and I'm in a fantasy league. I'm in a fantasy. You play fantasy football, Coach? Do you play fantasy football?
No. When I was in high school, we didn't have football. And when I came back there to coach for Millersburg Military Academy, that was my first job. I started a program down in Lewis County, but I've always been a big fan of the Browns when they were.
Oh, he's a Brown.
But the Bengals, I'm in between there now. But the Browns were good games, and I remember we used to have to go to Memphis, Ohio, to pick up the game. And so every Sunday we'd do that when they were playing up there. You got to know all those guys and played and everything. And then to Paul Brown, if he hadn't took a big step and got the stadium going and everything like that, they played at Nippert, I think, before that.
Right, they did.
They did, and they still have some college games. Since that, I usually go maybe once every 4 years, see them play too. So
I drafted Lamar Jackson in a league in fantasy, Sean. And I'm sitting him this week because I know what's going to happen. Browns are going to get after him. Baltimore ain't got no chance of going to the dog pound and winning. None. They're going to get killed. But, I mean, I'm sure Bengals fans are okay with that.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll go ahead and pick that game. Browns. Who do you think? Baltimore Browns.
I'll go with the Browns.
Coach, who's going to win? Baltimore Ravens or the Cleveland Browns Sunday?
They're out of town, so I don't have the home schedule.
No, who's going to win Sunday? Cleveland plays
Sunday?
Baltimore.
Oh, I'm telling you, I was impressed with the quarterback. He goes wild sometimes, but he was pinpoint Sunday down there.
He was good. So you think Cleveland wins Sunday?
I think they will.
Okay. Sean, 3 Clevelands.
You'll never. That's almost unheard of me giving.
You have to admit, Sean, and I admitted last year at one point that Joe Burrow was a top 3 quarterback. That Browns defense is good, man.
I didn't say they weren't.
No, but you didn't credit them either.
Well,
you have to say they're good.
Yeah, you're still playing against a quarterback on one leg, though.
Well, I don't think that they.
I don't look at the Bengals game. Horrible weather against an entire offense who didn't even see the field in the preseason, which I think that changes.
You're right, Sean. We really missed the firepower of T. Higgins, who, by the way, can't catch.
I don't know. There's something. He's got a mental block or something. I mean, he dropped 2 balls the other day that were right to him. I mean, Joe Burrow could not have put those.
He wants out.
I think it's affecting. I think not getting an extension before the season starting may be affecting him. Well, but
it's a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase show.
His backup's standing right over on the sidelines. The next man up, number 80. I can't pronounce his last name, but
Tyler Boyd's been pretty good.
But Tyler Boyd's played well. But the tight end, the Wilcox has outplayed Irv Smith, and he deserves to get the start at tight end from now on.
I had to go to Raceland's JV game. Well, I didn't have to. I like going because Landon plays for Raceland's JV. They went to Wheelersburg, made a lot of mistakes, couldn't score anytime they got inside the 10. Wheelersburg played pretty good. It was just, and that's what happens when you play good teams sometimes. But I was walking in, there's this woman, and, I'd talked to her a few times at games, and she goes, you need to start having your show every Tuesday. I said, I agree. But I also work for Cool Hits, and I have to take care of my schools in KCU before I even think about doing a show. And she goes, well, another thing, don't talk about the pro football. All I want to know is what you're going to talk about with Raceland. And I said, well, we'll talk about their game tomorrow because we're going to have a show tomorrow. So we'll talk about their game. Okay. Last week was, kind of chalk a little bit. The only game that really, I shouldn't say surprised me, Russell at Fleming County. Fleming County's going to get mad that I said this.
The score surprised me.
Well, but I'll say this. I think that there was unrealistic expectations for Fleming County going into this year. They got the Trent kid. Is that his name, Trent? The running back for
really
Fleming.
Good runner.
Yeah, good runner. They had a couple good receivers, and their quarterback's okay. You know what kills them, Sean? They're terrible up front. They are awful up front. I mean, they got a couple guys that just
You know, that seems to be the problem for most teams around here. They may have the one or two good skill players, but they don't have it up front.
not Russell.
Now, the
That's
good,
the complete opposite.
The good teams, they've got it on both sides of the ball. They've got the guys in the trenches.
Not
That's
Russell,
what-
Sean. Russell's
I mean,
really
that's
good
what
up
makes
front.
That's what makes the difference in the good teams and the average teams.
Yeah, and I was told, I don't have the tape on that, I don't have the stats, but I'll tell you, I was told that they took Ethan Pack and ran him probably 25 times behind that big offensive line and just wore down Fleming County. And Fleming County just couldn't do anything. The big offensive defensive line really affected them. They couldn't do anything. And it is what it is. Our media company did not pick Fleming County to win a district because we don't pick winners to win a district because we don't know nothing about them. But there was a couple of them there, particularly on Twitter, that picked Fleming County to win the district. Based off what? Off what?
Pack ran the ball 34 times.
Yeah, 34.
And for a quarterback to run the ball 34 times it borders on insanity. You know,
They won the game.
they won the game.
They won the game.
But
So
I mean, I'm not that. You never see a quarterback run the ball that much.
they won the game. It's hard to argue.
34 times, 100. Well, I give them credit because Cruz was out. They had to have somebody pick up the slack running the football, and I guess TJ put in some design runs. 34 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a W. That's all that counts.
That's all that matters. A game that we picked and Mark lost. Mark Salyers, of course, he picked Knott County Central. He just had a really bad week. I forgot he picked that game too. Morgan County 50-34. Ashland. Wow. I was wrong about this game. I did pick Ashland, but I was wrong about the score. I thought Greenwood would score more. No. Wow. Sean, I mentioned something last week, and this is going to ruffle some feathers in Ashland. They're not going to like what I have to say, but it's something that has to be discussed, and we're the only show in the area that has the guts to say it because we're the only
game. Now, I'm not saying, I think when LeBron Strader comes back, Strader goes in at quarterback.
Yeah,
But I guarantee you, Chad puts in some wildcat formations.
I think
and
so.
some series. Because all you got to do, you don't have to sub anybody out. All you got to do is split out Strader, and you put the Houston back there. You have some design runs. And the thing about it is, you don't know if he's going to run it because he can throw the ball. They're two.
should teach him to punt and put him back there in punt formation. That would
does
really
punt.
throw the defense for a loop.
He does punt.
Oh, well, that's even worse.
He is their punter.
Say this because
they're
I'm
on that cer-
I'm
they're
an
on
East
that
Carter
same-
guy. I say this because
they're on that cer-
I'm
they're
an
on
East
that
Carter
same-
guy. I can say this. I can say this. I don't think they were ever that bad. Lewis County.
No. East Central's going to do, they're not 3 yards in a cloud of dust. They're about 6 or 7 yards in a cloud of dust.
They had one play in particular
so-
that I saw. It's the quarterback. You know what kind of offense they run. They stuck it in the fullback. Silly mistakes are the reason why the score looked like that.
I mean,
too.
that's a learning experience game for them.
It is.
It's one of those where you go to you look at the film once and then you probably burn it, and just move on to the next week.
It is.
I mean, Holbrook was 10 of 17, 184 yards, but they had no running game whatsoever. 19 carries for 12 yards against them. But it is what it
Holbrook's
is.
a
I mean,
stud.
that's just a
Dakota
new
Thompson
experience
is too.
for
They got
them.
a couple of Caleb Collins stud. Just really you start paying attention a little bit more. Have some situational awareness. Lawrence County over Estill County 33-12. Paintsville dropped at Leslie County 27-16. Belfry all over Magoffin. Perry County Central all over Martin. Of course, Powell County beat Fairview, and Raceland took care of Newport Central Catholic. But we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll look at next week's games here on Cool TV.
parking lot lit? Is customer safety one of your top priorities? If so, call River Cities Builders at 473-4112 for all your lighting needs. We have bucket truck and boom crane truck services. We have extensive experience in exterior lighting and parking lot lighting maintenance. No need to ever be in the dark again. Remember, call River Cities Builders at 473-4112 for all your lighting needs. We will light your path to success.
When you have business away from home or a planned event far from your comfort zone, you're probably going to need a little help. Let A&A Porta Potties assist you with all your portable toilet needs. Whether on a construction site, planning for an outdoor wedding, or any other outdoor event, A&A Porta Potties are here to assist you. A&A Porta Potties also rents out storage containers, office containers, cooling fans, tables, and chairs. A&A Porta Potties, there is no event too big or too small for us to accommodate you.
Gear up for the ultimate football experience at Clark's Pump and Shop. Score big with our winning selection of savory chips, dips, snacks, and a variety of hot and cold beverages to fuel your game day excitement. When it comes to satisfying your hunger and thirst, we've got your game day covered. So before the next coin toss, make a winning move and shop at Clark's Pump and Shop, where Bluegrass fans fuel their excitement. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
If you're looking for a complete discount pharmacy with old-fashioned service and excellent prices, look no more. Since 1979, Stultz Pharmacy has provided our area with the finest in pharmacy care, 24-hour emergency prescription service, free delivery, and drive-through service for prescriptions. Stultz Pharmacy continues to fill all of your expectations. They carry a nice selection of gift items. For hometown service, see the professionals at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup. More than you expect from a pharmacy.
Stultz Pharmacy.
All right, we are
I
back.
used to love hearing old Ben Pumphrey.
We'll look at next week's schedule real quick. Starting off, this game's at Putnam Stadium. Rowan County's going to make the trip from Moorhead. Rowan County's really young. They got a couple of kids on there that are pretty good. Ashland probably has its best team it's had since 2020, I'd say.
Well, that's only like 3 years ago. But
Yeah, well, best team they've had.
20, two seasons removed.
Well, before that, they hadn't had a real good team in a long time. Elite team.
I wouldn't say that.
Elite team, they hadn't.
There's
Couldn't even
a-
win their district, Sean. Like Johnson Central
Well,
thumped
you
them for
said
how many
really
straight
good.
years?
You said really good and elite. There's a difference there. There's a couple levels of difference between having a really good team and having an elite team.
I guess it's based off your opinion. Well, they still couldn't win their district for about 10 years. But we're going to talk about that here in a second because I think that they will this year. Like I said, Moorhead, Rowan County's going to make the trip from Moorhead to Putnam Stadium. I think this game's over at half. Running clock, Tomcats.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to see I think you're going to see Maverick Ashby and Cam Davis have 50-plus touchdown runs. Braxton Jennings, I got to talk about him a little bit.
He's a stud.
He was going to be the stud running back.
Right.
Everybody expected him to come in and just pound and have 150, 200 yards. Now, think about the unselfishness that he has shown in how they distribute the ball around.
As long as they're winning, he doesn't care, Sean.
And he is not. You never hear anything about any of them come out and say, "I want the ball more." When they're only getting there's a reason you're only getting 7 or 8 carries a game, 17, 19 yards carries a game. Because
you're averaging 15 yards a carry.
Because you're averaging 15 yards a carry, and you're scoring 50 points a game.
Right.
I just think, he has shown himself to be top notch on the defensive side of the ball.
He is.
I mean, he's, that, and I think that's one of the things that he was hoping to be able to show this year, and and he is. He has that game down in Bardstown. He had a scoop and score, or he had an interception. He looked really good on defense end, and just that team as a whole.
Friday night
we talked a little bit before the show about or earlier about having the Hogs up front,
right?
And they've got it on both sides of the ball.
Ashland played a complete game Friday night against a good Greenup County team. You look at that score and you say, Greenup ain't no good. Greenup's a good team. Greenup's got a really good quarterback, a good running back. They're not bad. And Ashland doing that to them tells you. And we'll see. I'm actually on the call for this one. I got to go to Bath County Friday night. East Carter's going to make the trip down 64 to Bath County High School. East Carter, of course, I was on the call Friday night in the Battle of the Barrel. What a game that was. I mean, just a great game. East Carter had 2-touchdown lead at the half. West Carter came out, and I don't know if it was a designed onside kick, but it was the best onside. Had a couple of counters there, and East Carter was able to walk out of the barrel with a win. 34-28, I believe, was the final. But they're going to go to Bath County Friday night. And I'll just say this. If East Carter plays like they can, this game also will be over at the half. As it is, East Carter, heavy favorites, Coach.
Yeah, East Carter's, like you say, they're a big, strong team up front, and he's got that program going, turned around there 3 or 4 years ago, and they've been a teams that he slips up on some teams that thinks that they could beat them. But Coach Chaplin's been a great improvement over there with the coaching staff and everything like that, and he'll have his team ready to play.
So you're going to go East Carter also?
Right.
East Carter?
East Carter.
East Carter big. Maybe the game of the week. There's a couple games here. One's the very last one we're going to talk about. The game of the week, maybe. Lawrence is going to go to Belfry. Of course, everybody, except for us three, me, you, and Mark, picked Lawrence to win, but everybody picked Estill County, the Engineers, to go to Louisa and win. There wasn't no way they were going to Louisa and winning. Are you kidding me? There's no way that was going to ever happen. It wasn't even close. They won by what? 3 touchdowns?
21 points, yeah.
21 points.
33-21, or 33-12.
But I think at Belfry, and Belfry's not traditional Belfry. I think Belfry wins, but I think it's close.
I think this will be a close game also.
Belfry.
Yeah, I think Belfry.
Now, you think Belfry also, Sean?
Yeah, I think Belfry. I think it'll be, maybe 7. Maybe
If it was in Louisa.
Maybe it'd be a couple touchdowns.
If it was in Louisa, I might pick Lawrence County. But as it is, Belfry. Close. This game's at Boyd County. This is my super dog pick for the week. Greenup County's going to go to Boyd County. Greenup did not look good at Putnam Stadium. They got completely dominated. In every aspect of the game you could be dominated in, Greenup was. Boyd County dominated in almost every single aspect you can imagine at John Central.
Well, it needs to be the team that's got the shortest memory.
Well, besides that, though, it's the team that can stop the run and ain't Boyd County. Greenup goes to Canonsburg and wins. Greenup.
I think Greenup will win too. But like
I
said, somebody's got to. One of these teams has to step up on the defensive side of the football.
Well, I think it's a great game. I think it's a great game, Coach. But, and this is the double-edged sword of the show here is everybody watches your show, but if you pick the wrong team, they're like, look at this idiot. He don't know what he's talking about. So, no, I think Tyson Sammons does what Tyson Sammons does. I think that last week he's got some frustration to take out.
Well,
Greenup in Canonsburg.
I said last week that he may throw for 160. He'll do one or the other, but he's not doing both. And he did. He threw for about 160, but he only ran for maybe, 20.
Yeah, Coach.
They really held him.
Boyd.
Yeah, Greenup County, I'll take them.
You going Greenup too, so 3 Greenups. Graceland's going to make a trip to Hazard. In a game, Sean, that back in maybe 5 or 6 years ago, this would have been a great game. Holy cow.
It would have been one of those 7-6 games or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, 2 1A powerhouses playing each other, Raceland and Hazard. Well, the problem is only one of those schools is a powerhouse now, and it's not Hazard. Raceland goes and they take care of Hazard, and they win big. Raceland maybe running clock over Hazard. What do you think, Coach?
I think it's a running clock.
Running clock. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah. This year I'm looking at Hazard's results. Their only win is a 13-12 win.
No
over
Wallace,
Harlan
Logan
County.
Lundy. They do what they want to. Parker Fannin, they do what they want to. And that defense, and I'll tell you something that's really improved for Raceland over the last couple games is their offensive line. It's kind of the big question mark coming this year. They had the skill guys, they had the quarterback, they had the running back, but how was their offensive line? And they've done great, I think. Raceland, big. John Central's going to go to Corbin. This might be the only time that I might say, you know what, John Central's in big trouble Friday. They're in big trouble Friday. They're going to go down to Corbin, who has a great facility down there. I think they're the Red Hounds, Corbin Red Hounds. Widely considered top 2 team in the state regardless of class. John Central's going to go down there and play. John Central's still not fully healthy. I think they get killed at Corbin. Corbin, big.
I like Corbin.
I won't say big, but it'll be
3 scores.
It'll be a couple touchdowns.
More than that, 3 scores at least.
So
Corbin, big. Fleming County's going to go to Lewis County, Coach.
I know we have a tough battle there, but I think we just see improvement every game. But they're a talented team, and they sort of got back on their heels when they lost early there. I know Coach Spencer got them go playing a lot better.
Yep.
And so I'll take them, Fleming County.
What do you think, Sean?
I think this will be a close one. I agree. I think it'll be. I think it's Fleming County in this one.
I think Fleming County wins, and I think it's mostly because of inexperience at some key positions for Lewis County. I think that this game could potentially be a really good game, Coach. I think that it being in Lewis County, it being in Vanceburg, plays a big role into it. But I think Fleming County is probably a little ticked off the way they played against Russell. Was dominated the line of scrimmage, just dominated. And Bill Spencer probably watches; he'll probably agree, and you know, so it is what it is. Lewis is going the right direction, but they're not there yet. Fleming County, Powell County goes to McGoffin. This is a tough game to call right here. McGoffin got a big win a couple weeks ago over Martin County, Sean.
Yep.
Powell County, you know, they look good against Fairview. And then I watched them play West Carter. They got just pulverized. I mean, West Carter did whatever they wanted to on them. I'm going to go McGoffin County. County.
I'm going McGoffin County too. I think, you know, that I think they just got a little bit too much for Powell. You know, Powell having to go on the road. I'm not sure about how far that is, but yeah, you drive between 2 or 3 counties down there.
You talking about the distance between McGoffin
and Powell?
I don't know if they would hit the Mountain Parkway or not, because the Mountain Parkway actually, I believe, runs through Powell County.
Yeah, it goes to Salyersville. So,
yeah. So, what do you think, Coach? McGoffin or Powell?
I'm taking McGoffin. I think they had played some games early there and showed you they could play a little bit.
Yeah.
And, I thought that that program's come a long way, you know, since they had the tornado and all that stuff. And they got great facilities up there. We went up there 3 or 4 years ago, and you got light poles. You couldn't even see the field.
Yeah.
And raining. The next year they get all that money from the state, and they got, you know, everything going. But yeah, I think McGoffin.
This game's at Holy Cross Covington, Morgan County, who has been kind of the surprise of the 2023 season, Sean. They're going to make the trip up to Covington. I picked the Cougars last week, but I'm not going to this week. I think the trip and the team they're playing is actually pretty good. They got a win over the team that Johnson Central beat a couple weeks ago, Dawn Community. I think Holy Cross is too much. Holy Cross.
Yeah, it's different football up there.
It is. It is.
You know, and it'll be a good gauge of how far Morgan County has come and how much further they need to go. I mean, like I said, this isn't a dominant football team that they're playing, but it's a good team. Remember Bruce Kozerski. He was a former the Super Bowl teams back with Boomer Esiason.
So there and sort the cookie dough, and we talked to him every time we were up there. Just super great guy, and I've recently passed away because he had a brain tumor. Super great guy. That was a one-possession game. They had chances to win. Shelby Valley's top 5 team in 2A. They had chances to win. Looked really good in that game. Then they go and they play McGoffin County and look terrible.
Yeah.
You know, and I think they're going to go to Preston. Give me Prestonsburg. The Black I'm talking a close game in Allfield. I think Russell close game in Allfield. I think Russell just barely walks out of Allfield with a win. I could be wrong. Russell could win by a lot, or West could kill him. I don't know. But I think it's
Don't play in the SEC.
Why can't they do 2 games? Why couldn't they do the noon game at Georgia and Auburn?
Reminded me of one of those games when Alabama and LSU always used to go at it, and the final score would be 9-6 because they'd be. I mean, that was big boy football.
Classic Notre Dame. Classic Notre Dame. They never have. Classic Notre Dame. They had the game won, Sean. Had it won. Outplayed Ohio State for 3.5 quarters.
The second down pass was not. Well, if they complete that pass, it's over. But they did not.
What about the pick they missed when Ohio State was driving?
I don't think Parker made a wrong play call. I just think the execution wasn't there.
No, they had a drop pick. inside the 20 when Ohio State was driving. Right to him. Hit him right in the hands. All he had to do was catch it and fall down. The game was over. Couldn't do it. Classic Notre Dame. So every time they wear those green jerseys and they lose, you see this meter right here? It's going down. That's stock in those green jerseys. Down. All the way to the bottom. And those things are hideous.
Now, they used to wear the gold pants with them, but the green on green looks a little weird. Looks like Barney a little bit because you got the golden dome. But you get the green and the gold, it looks pretty sweet.
Why don't they join a real conference and play some football? They do like they
NBC pays them too much money
They
to not
do.
be in a conference.
They do a partial ACC conference.
They do
something.
everything but football.
Right. Oh, well. Okay, back to Kentucky. I think Kentucky wins only because it's home, but I wouldn't be surprised if Florida wins.
I
I'm
agree.
gonna take Florida.
Oh, wow.
I think Kentucky, if they can clean up the mistakes and not shoot themselves in the foot with a false start or a bad snap. You see what happened. They moved D-Lock Cox back to center. Jagger Burton moves back over to guard. That's where Cox played there all year last year. I think that's eliminated the problems there. And also now he's making the line calls now.
Yeah.
So I think the protection gets cleaned up. I think Kentucky wins. I think Kentucky for the 6th straight year is better than Florida.
Probably.
And we won 3 out of those 5. The other 2 we should have
And
won.
Tennessee has quarterback issues. South Carolina has been inconsistent. Missouri has probably looked the best out of all the teams that I've saw in the East besides Georgia. So it's wide open. Georgia will win the East. Nobody will touch Georgia in the East. The West is open. Who will Georgia play in the SEC title game?
Talking about Parker up there, I had the privilege of on the Board of Control. I was on the Board of Control for 4 years. I had the privilege of giving her the MVP in the state tournament over at Eastern Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And that family's been, I've kept up with them, and tickled Jerry got that job.
He's moving up. I mean, you look at the coaching tree that Lawrence County has put out there. They got a fellow coaching down for the Titans.
They sure do.
Parker will be a head coach one of these days.
He will. But that's all the time we got for this week. Of course, we'll be back next week. I'll have to find a day, and we'll harass Mark Salyers when he comes back. I mean, we'll really just give it to him. He deserves it. That's why he didn't show up today. He ain't working. He's probably at the house watching because he knew what was going to happen to him if he did show his face around here. He's going to get harassed. That's what he gets, too, for making terrible picks. He's on probation right now. But for Spencer Hutchinson, Coach Kidwell, and Sean Hutchinson, this